on with the fun stuff. On with the fun stuff. I'm sure. So we're gonna add controllers. Finally, I know a lot of you guys have been asking me this on Facebook. How do you add controllers to a character? How do you start moving it? How do I bring it to life? You start going all crazy. And I love you guys for that, but you know, I'm gonna show you right now how to make those controllers for this character. First off, I like to use a script that makes controllers for me because, again, when you're in a professional environment, you want to save time. You are on the clock and you need to hurry up. So I like to just click and look, my controller's already done for me. I like to just click, my controller is done for me. I'm going to show you how to create a controller from scratch because some of you guys need to know this, but again, once you get into production, you're going to need to find ways to speed things up, and you'll find out that using scripts that other people made, and they'll give them out for free. You just have to search for them, and that is what I did. So I'm going to show you first how to create them yourself, and then how to use a script. If you want to use the same script that I'm using, go to my Animation Methods website. There's a little link up here that says scripts. Under rigging, I have this script here. Now, I did not create all these scripts. They are being shared. So if you want to learn how to use it, you click on the how-to video here, and that'll show you how to install it and a little bit of how to use it. So check that video out first, and then here's how you download the script, which you'll save it. So it's called Rig Control Generator. Now, I'm not sure if this script works on a Mac. I don't own a Mac, so I cannot test it. I have a PC, and I don't know if it works on different versions of Maya, especially older versions. I have Maya 2013 right now, and it's a 64-bit. So test it out. Let me know if it works or if it doesn't. Alright, so once you install that script, that's what it's gonna look like this. So you'll be able to create all these controllers automatically. But let's just start right to it. So if you want to create controllers, you go to create NURBS primitives. Now, most of my controllers are created out of the circle or out of the EP curve tool. So you go to NURBS primitives, circle. So if you check out this circle, I like to keep this interactive creation off because I don't like to click and drag. So by clicking this off, I'll just select this and it automatically makes a controller for me down here. So that's what I like to do. So this is how you create controllers, and then you would rotate this 90 degrees. Select the move tool by pressing W. Make sure I'm under world. Oh, I can say object. I'll leave it like that. And then the first trick you need to learn to do is holding down the V key, V as in Victor, and then while you still have that move tool, you're gonna hold down V, and then you see that little the manipulator changed to a little circle, and then holding down the middle mouse button and clicking and wiggling your mouse on that joint. So I'm holding down V key, middle mouse, click and drag, and move. That will place that controller. It'll snap it into that joint. So let me see through it. So there it is. So if you hold down V and middle mouse click and drag near that joint, it'll just snap to it. Now if it doesn't snap to it, it probably means you selected an arrow. So if I select that X, and then I believe if I try to snap it, it's not going to snap to this other joint, because right now it's being constrained just to the X axis. So you need to select the middle again, the middle of that manipulator, so that it moves everywhere, and then now try it again. So V and middle mouse click and drag around where you want it to snap to. So that is how you snap these controllers to it has to be exactly in the center of the joint, because this controller is going to rotate around that center of that joint. So you can see the center of that joint is right there. Select the controller, and then the center of that controller should also be in the center of that joint. So that is very important. Alright, you can again rescale this joint, the controller, by doing the middle one, that middle manipulator, and then you can actually skin it down this way. Let me get rid of that x-ray. So you want to place these controllers in a location that it lets the animator know what that controller is going to move. So once you hide the joints, this is what the animator is going to see. It's just that one little controller there. Alright, so again, design your controls to be easy for an animator to select and to see what it controls. Those are two of the main things that you need to be able to work with as a rigger. And again, you never want to make these controllers like, okay, I'll make it easy for the animator to select. I'll make it this big. That way he will never have to struggle ever again. That's actually too big. It can actually get annoying, because once you start looking at the motion and start animating, that actually gets annoying to see it that big. So you want to keep it sort of small, and you want to keep it not too small. Don't make it like this, like something like that, because then he might not be able to select it. He'll start selecting the geometry. So keep it fairly simple. And then let me show you another technique. So let's say you want this controller, you can see it has this little fin and it's sort of going through it, and you want to move the controller slightly higher up like this. But notice when I move it up, the pivot point moved away from that joint. So now when I go and I rotate this controller, it's going to rotate away from the joint, which defeats the purpose of us creating the joints, because we want the tail to rotate from this joint. But when we attach the controller to that joint, it's actually going to rotate from up here, which is going to screw things up. So you don't want to move the controller. A way to adjust the location of the controller without affecting the pivot point is by pressing insert on the controller. Wait, hold on. Is it insert? No, it's not insert. Insert will move the pivot point. I'm sorry. You just right click on it. So you right click and you'll see control vertex. When you do a control vertex, you'll see all these little points here. These little points allow you to manipulate how that curve looks. So this is going to be very useful. And again, the way I do it is press 4 so you can see all these little points around that curve. Select all of the points. Now if you do control vertex and you say, alright, let me select them all, it won't allow you to, because it's actually going to select the joints. So what you want to do is go up here and deactivate joint selection. So when you do that, you can no longer select joints. And then you can also deactivate select polygons. So now I cannot select joints and I cannot select the polygons, but I can select curves because I have this select curve object still checked on. So that's what you want. Again, try it again. Control vertex. Now I can select all of these points, and I can do the same thing. I can scale them all together. I can do this. I can just grab the upper, so press 5 again to see shaded mode. I can just move the upper side of it. I can start really manipulating all of this. I can select that point and this point and rescale this out. like that. I can even grab some of this, move it forward. I can do whatever I want now to that control. So I'm going to actually move some of these points down, make it a little bit more easier. Once you're done, you right click, go to object mode. If you want to know the shortcut key to go into that control vertex mode, press F8. I like to do F8 just because it's so simple. So remember, F8, press it again, gets you out of component mode. So F8, 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 F8. Remember that, 'cause sometimes you'll just see me, go right into component mode and you're gonna be like, how did you do that? I pressed F8. Alright, so check this out. I can actually select all the points in component mode, move the controller, press F8 to get out, and then look, the pivot point is still down here because we adjusted the controller and component mode. So when I rotate this, it's always going to rotate from that pivot point. So it doesn't matter what your controller looks like. So I'm telling you this because actually in the next video we're going to start adding these controllers, but right now I'm teaching you about creating controllers. Alright, now let's go ahead and create another controller. Let me show you why I do not use this type of control. You might be thinking, okay, that's how you create a circle. I want to use a square. Let me use a square. So then you come down here and there's your square, right? And you go, that's perfect, that's what I wanted. It looks useful, but Maya does not create a square where all four sides are attached together. So you might grab it and move it and go, oh cool, yeah it is, look, I'm moving it and it's all moving together. And then you'll do a V, hold down V, middle mouse click and snap it. Let me grab it from there. Middle mouse click and snap it. I'm gonna rotate this and I'm gonna scale this big so you can see it, and then you go, okay cool, there we have a nice controller there. And then you deselect and watch this. When you try to select it again and then you go, alright, let me move the controller. Hey, what the? Let me select this side. Hey, what? Why is it giving it to me in little pieces? Well, like I said, Maya does not connect these edges, so I never use this controller. So I'm gonna delete these four pieces. There's a way to combine them, but it doesn't combine them as a square. It'll attach it all funky, so never use that square. The way to do it is to actually trace out something that's square. So what I like to do is go to create polygons, and then you go to, say for example, plane. I'm gonna move this plane out here. So this is a polygon, not a controller. And then I'm going to go back and create an EP curve tool. Go to the settings and then say you want to make it linear. So if you choose anything else, it's going to try to make it into a smooth curve, but because we don't want smooth curves, we want to create it into a hard edge square. I'm going to do linear, and then I want to snap it to points. So I'm going to hold down V and click on one of these points. So click on that point, click on that point, click back to that point, press enter. Now I can delete that plane. So I gotta reactivate select planes. Select the plane and delete it, and we are left with that EP curve tool that we traced out. So now when you just select anywhere, notice it actually, now you can just select anywhere and it selects the entire thing. It's not broken up into 4 different pieces. So that's useful. But if you look over here at the pivot point, the pivot point is way over here, but our controller is over here. I want that pivot point to be centered into this object. So the way to center that pivot point is by going into modify, center pivot. you click on this and it's gonna center it right in the middle of that square. So that is how you center the pivot. And now I can use this. This is a nice clean controller. I can hold down V, I can snap it to that joint, I can rescale the joint. Let me look through it, X-ray mode. So there it is. I can rotate this 90 degrees, get out of X-ray mode, and now we have a usable square controller. And again, I can press F8, select all of these little 4 corner points, right? And then I can start scaling this however I want. I can move it this way. I can just select the upper controllers and move them like this, do whatever I want. Press F8 when I'm done, and the pivot point is still smack dead center of that joint. So that is how you can create controllers. To create square controllers, create a polygon, go to create EP curve tool, and then do linear. That is how you create square controllers. To create circle controllers, again, create nerves, primitives, circles, you're done. To create a cube controller, which you usually see around like characters' hips, again, we're going to do the exact same thing like we did before. We're going to create polygons and we're going to create a cube. And I'm going to move this over and we're going to use this to trace it out again. So I'm going to go into create EP curve tool, make sure it's under linear, hold down V, and then just click and trace this guy out. It doesn't matter if you go over the same area. So again, I already went this way, but I can go that way again. Go down this way, go down this way. I think I already went out that way. I go down this way. You know, I'm sure there's a cleaner way to go around all this, but I think I did all sides. And press enter, select the cube, delete, and now we are left with the square controller. So I can close this, click on it, press W, check the pivot area. It's not where I want it to be. Go to modify, center pivot, and then now we have a nice controller here. Again, hold down V to snap to a point, rescale this, and there we have a nice clean controller here. One last thing, changing the color of the controller. To change the color of the control, you obviously select the controller, go to your attribute editor, or if you don't have it open, click shortcut key Control A, and then I'm gonna lower this. Go to where it says curve shape. So you see curve, I believe it's curve shape. Let me try it. Go to curve shape, object display, and then under object display you're gonna get more windows. It says drawing overrides, so expand that, and then now you need to enable overrides, so check that on. Once you check it on, you're gonna see this little color swatch. This is where you change the color of your controller, so you can pick, like, you know, red, and it changes that controller now to red. Select it, you know, you can make it, I don't know what color you want. You can do pink. Pinky. And that is how you work with controllers. So hopefully you guys learn how to create your own controllers. Again, you want to adjust this, you go to F8. You can grab this, you know, you can shape it into whatever it is you want. So I would grab these, something like that. Again, make it easy for an animator to select. Now you can see that this is way too wide, so I would grab those, shrink them in, You know, something like that. Grab these, move them down, move that out. So then now you have a nice shark controller, object mode, or you can press F8. And then that's it. That's how you can start creating controllers. On the next video, I'll actually start connecting the controllers to the shark, and we can start moving the joints by moving controllers. So that's just want to give you a brief overview on how to create controllers, because we have a lot to cover. I know rigging it's pretty tedious, you know, it's very technical, I should say. I enjoy it because it's the process of bringing characters to life and having the ability to animate it. So creating controllers it's very important. So always make sure you create controllers and the pivot point is in the exact same location as the joint. Alright, so again, I'm gonna show you that curve tool, that script, because you saw how long it took to create those controls. You know, you don't want to spend too much time. Look how easily, I mean, this script has so many stuff in here. So cube is already done. I don't have to use a template. I don't have to use a cube and trace it out. Circle is already done for me. You know, I can use I can make arrows just by using this script. I can use, you know, there's different types of things I can use here. There's a ring if I wanted a ring. A square is already created for me, which I can just easily pick. So, and here, let me show you. Check out this. I'm gonna use a cube. If you go down here to this other tab, coloring, it already has some quick colors I can pick and change the color of it. So, which is very awesome. So that's why I always recommend using scripts here, because I can very easily pick out colors. Alright, so I would highly recommend you use a script. I'm going to be using this script. If you're not going to be using the script, then create controllers. I recommend you create one controller, press Control D to duplicate, and then you can grab some controllers off of that one. So now I can use this one, move it in there, scale it or whatever, right? I can grab this one again, Control D, move it into place, and then shape that one. Grab it off of this one, Control D, move that new one over here, start shaping this one, right? So you can start doing that sort of stuff. So if you want to do your own controllers, go right ahead. I always recommend using the script, and that is how you can begin to start rigging. So let's jump over to the next tutorial.